Well, 1961 British Racing Green is a pretty apt title for a show because in 1961 British Motorsport was definitely coming into a real heyday. Phil Hill won the World Championship for Ferrari in a Ferrari, but then in 1962, 3, 4, 5 British drivers won the championship in British cars. So 61 was a sort of preparatory year for that. And of course the racing scene was very, very vibrant then. We had a lot of circuits, all of which were pretty new after World War II, but you know, by the 60s, by the early 60s, it started to really become fairly sophisticated, except for the public toilet department, which were pretty non-sophisticated. But I mean, there was a very strong saloon car series, not a British touring car championship like it is today, but very strong series of saloon cars. Sports car racing was big with things like Lotus 19s, Cooper Monacos, Lola, and Eric Broadley with the Lola, and of course Colin Chapman's Lotus were really, you know, making a lot of sports cars as well as the Formula cars. And so generally speaking, it was a pretty hot scene.
To a great many of the motoring visitors to the shores of Britain, almost immediately they are struck by two things: the oncoming traffic and the glorious green of the countryside. There are many shades, not least amongst them that traditional green, the village green, where strange rites are practiced during the summer months to mystify the tourist. The British call it cricket, and an exciting match can sometimes induce a frenzy of indifference, amounting almost to paralysis. But from the village green, let us introduce our visitor from overseas to yet another, and much faster shade of green, British Racing Green, the international colour of the country in motor racing. At circuits all over England, events such as this one at Brands Hatch take place almost every weekend. Of all the different categories, production car racing is as popular as any. To all outward appearances, the cars are much the same as those one sees on the road, but they sound a little different. They go a little quicker too. The Brands Hatch circuit on London's doorstep is an ideal one for the spectator, who can watch from almost any point around the 2.65-mile course. The Jaguars build up a useful lead, but consider for a moment the lilies in the field. They are one up on this Jaguar, for they toil not, neither do they spin. But the race goes on. The two remaining Jaguars are locked in battle. And as the race runs its appointed course, they lap their slower and much smaller rivals. It is not surprising that production car racing draws the crowds. It is quite exciting for the driver too. Let us take a jag's eye view of Brands Hatch to end our visit.
Last season is history. Now, a new chapter begins. Track the performance, check the setups, and catch the strategies of NASCAR's top teams. NASCAR Preseason Thunder, Sunday 7 Eastern on Speed.
You only get one chance, one shot, and that's it. I want to be a world champion more than anything. That's the only way you can say you're the best.
Meet the men who make a living defying death and experience life beyond the bull on TLC.
If you or someone you care about was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, AML, you may be entitled to compensation. So call now for a free consultation. Acute myeloid leukemia, AML, is a form of leukemia linked to benzene exposure. Thousands of people in the petroleum, rubber, and printing industries may be exposed to benzene and may have developed AML.
Call now at 1-800-584-8960. That's 1-800-584-8960.
Go to Dell.com today for this Inspiron notebook with a free wireless card and free memory upgrade for only $4.99 after mail-in rebate. And get a free 6-month AOL membership with your Dell PC. With AOL, everything you want online is all in one place. It's more than a great deal. It's a Dell.
Stay tuned for an amazing free stop smoking offer.
We quit smoking together.
I don't think I could have stopped without it.
I quit. Just like that.
With maximum strength cigarette, you will quit. Guaranteed.
I thought I was going to go nuts wanting a cigarette. I never did.
Cigarette was easy. It just worked.
Other stop smoking methods can eventually cost you hundreds of dollars, but we're so sure Cigarette will work for you, we'll let you try it free. You get a 30-day supply of maximum strength cigarettes, free, plus minty anti-craving gum. And we'll also send along a 30-day supply of smokers' vitamins. That's almost $100 of proven stop smoking power, free of charge.
I did it for the family. The kids wanted me to stop smoking.
Hey, do what I did. Pick up the phone and call this toll-free number.
Call 1-800-690-5757 to order your free 30-day supply of cigarettes and your free 30-day supply of anti-craving gum and vitamins. Credit card required for shipping and handling. Call now.
And from the touring cars of today to the vintage and historic sports and racing cars of yesterday. Yet another form of motor racing, and every bit as colourful as any other. Rugged individualists in a mass production age, they all reflect the pride of their owners, and do them much credit too. In America, that's a tomato juice and vodka. But in Britain, it's John Boaster's famous special, Bloody Mary. Ooh, sorry, Vicar. Just watch the pressure building up. There's plenty to see in the paddock, and all of it throws an interesting sidelight on vintage motor racing. As well as the old cars, a feature of this particular meeting is the appearance of some of the not-so-young drivers. John Boaster is there, and John Easton Gibson, to drive the cars they drove in years gone by. That great driver and former holder of the world's land speed record, George Easton. Kay Peter in the single-seater Austin. Tony Roth on the ERA Delage. And the evergreen Sammy Davis, senior of course, on Bentley. It is only a demonstration drive, but the clerk of the course is prepared for anything. Behind Tony Roth drives Basil Davenport in that famous Shelsley Hill Climb special, Spider. Margaret Jennings Bentley leads Buddy Featherstone on Alfa Romeo. And behind Kay Peter drives BMC designer Alec Isigonis and his lightweight special. Veterans of the road and racetrack Cars and drivers taste again the joys of earlier motor racing days. Main event of the day is the race for vintage and historic racing cars, an annual event in memory of Richard Seaman, that great English driver of the 1930s. The prizes? Trophies that he won while striving for Mercedes-Benz. A mid-30s Maserati comes to the line, dwarfed by a vintage Bentley. And the field includes no less than 8 of the 14 ERAs ever made.
Years of classics.
Beautifully done.
10 years of dream cars.
The best of the best.
10 years of Barrett Jackson on speed.
That is history.
The world's greatest collector car event returns, bigger than ever.
One of the most extraordinary auctions I've ever experienced.
6 amazing days and over 30 hours of expanded coverage live. Plus, indulge your passion. Log on to speedtv.com and make your Haggerty fantasy bid.
Got that hammer!
Barrett Jackson. The bidding begins Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Speed.
Optima batteries with spiral cell AGM technology offer twice the life and more than 15 times the vibration resistance of ordinary batteries. In fact, the spill-proof six-pack design is tough enough to outlast practically everything, including your vehicle. Optima, the ultimate power source.
With my credit, I never thought I'd qualify for a new computer. But with Blue Hippo, all I need is a home phone and a checking account, and approval is guaranteed.
We're talking to people who've discovered Blue Hippo Funding's Guaranteed Approval Program. It doesn't matter if you have bad credit or no credit, because we don't check your credit. Your approval is guaranteed with just an active checking account.
I started my own home business, something I never could have done without a computer.
And if you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll include a multifunction printer, scanner, copier with your order. A $250 value, absolutely free. And we'll also include a brand new digital camera, absolutely free. That's over $500 worth of computer accessories, all for free when you call in the next 10 minutes.
I don't know why anyone wouldn't take advantage of this. It's a great offer.
Mom, can I go on the computer now?
Just a minute.
This is your chance to get a brand new, brand name computer from Blue Hippo, regardless of your credit. And by calling and ordering now, you'll receive this digital camera and this multifunction printer, scanner, copier for free. But you must call now.
The main tracks in 1961 really are still in use today, most of them, and we didn't have the motorway system that we have now to connect all these racetracks, so obviously they really collected people from more or less their part of the country, although people did tend to go pretty well everywhere. You know, the race fan being a race fan, just like Winston Cup fans are today. I mean, they go a long way and go to a lot of trouble to see their races. Brands Hatch, Snetterton, Silverstone, Mallory Park, and Alton Park. And there were other ones like Castle Combe was sort of just getting going, Croft up in Yorkshire, and there was a couple of Scottish circuits, but they were really in their infancy at that stage, and the main circuits were the ones I just mentioned.
Straight into the lead goes the Honourable Patrick Lindsay's ERA, a lead he is to hold throughout the 23-lap race, in a car just 25 years old. Owned by Prince Chula of Siam and driven by his cousin, Prince Bira, it won the Grand Prix of Albi back in 1936. But all of them are marked with the dignity of history, but their years sit lightly on them. time, the ERA is on its final lap. And there's the winner's flag. At 25 years old, it has averaged over 75 miles an hour for the 100 kilometers, in the capable hands of Patrick Lindsay, who sets off on a tour of honor. And we set off for Silverstone. Not all that far away in miles, but a quarter of a century away in time, as the racing cars of the 60s take the stage. Big-time motor racing is big business today, sponsored by newspapers and backed by the oil companies and the accessory manufacturers, all of whom have helped to place British racing green on the motor racing map of the world. With some assistance from a man named Moss. And Brabham, too, who talks to Fancho, 5 times champion of the world. Another champion is Surtees, from the world of two wheels. Ireland and Clark of Team Lotus. Graham Hill of BRM are just some of the motor racing great gathered at Silverstone for the July meeting. A meeting made memorable by the first appearance of a new name in motor racing, the Ferguson, built to the designs of Harry Ferguson, who did not live to see his dreams come true. Out onto the grid they come, to line up for the start. Bruce McLaren, Moss, Salvadori, Tony Brooks. Team manager Reg Parnell briefs his driver Surtees. The revs rise as the flag goes up, down, and they're away. Through Copse Corner on the 50-lap swan song of the Intercontinental Formula. Superseded by a new Grand Prix Formula, the 2.5-litre cars of the previous Formula have had their day. But what a day it was whilst it lasted. For sight and sheer sound, it will be hard to beat. On a wet track, Stirling Moss shows off his genius, with John Surtees behind him in second place. Once an airfield, the Northamptonshire circuit of Silverstone still bears traces of its origin and lacks the beauty of Oulton Park. But as Britain's premier and oldest circuit, it breathes an air of tradition and has played a major part in the rise to fame of British racing cars and drivers. And lurking shyly in the undergrowth are found rare and exotic flowers, like the lotus.
This weekend on Speed's Lost Driving. Tonight, Mark Hamill stars in Corvette Summer.
That's the greatest car I ever saw.
Tomorrow, John Wayne is a renegade cop out for justice.
Dad, I want this case.
McHugh, The Lost Driving begins tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
Bobcat 3625. Three, 7, 2, 6. Saber 15, this is Bobcat 36. Confirm weapons and enemy camp. Orders for air traffic follows. 3, Echo, Hotel. Over.
Meanwhile, the Moss lead is growing too, and the depleted field reels off the closing laps. Moss takes Woodcote Corner and the checkered flag, and the crowd applaud his brilliant drive. There's just time to take his helmet off at Silverstone before he puts it on again at Goodwood. Prior to practice for the Tourist Trophy race, yet another sort of motor racing, for Grand Touring cars, at yet another British circuit, set in the Sussex Downs at Goodwood. Ferrari and Porsches provide the continental challenge to the British Aston Martins. But the decisive factor in the 3-hour event is tyre wear. Race day dawns, and the cars line up in echelon for the traditional Le Mans type start. As the flag falls, Moss gets there first. But his Ferrari fails to fire, and Mike Parks is first away on the other Ferrari. And the shape of things to come for the next 3 hours is clearly defined by the 2 Ferraris. They pull away from the rest of the pack. Moss soon takes over the lead, and Clark's Aston loses vital seconds for the most trivial of reasons. But this is to be a race of pit stops, and Parks comes in for a change of tyres after 32 minutes motoring. Here's one jack that isn't all right. And off goes the Parks Ferrari, still in second place. Now it's Sterling's turn. Fuel is added, and the rear wheels change. Then Moss, with 6 victories in the Tourist Trophy, presses on towards his 7th.
Mega trucks and dirt slinging rockets this Saturday on Speed. First, thrills and spill.
Oh, he's in trouble already.
The big rigs of Monster Jam collide in Montreal.
He is all over the place.
Then,
Look at this.
the hottest two-wheel battle on the ground
Hand-to-hand combat.
or in the air.
Here we go. That's racing.
AMA Supercross Lights from Anaheim.
A bauble like that can cost you dearly.
It all begins Saturday, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, only on Speed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SUV Championships.
Anybody can ride an SUV. Not everybody rides it right.
Pushing it too hard.
Without respect for what they're capable of, it's easy to see why a lot of riders take the role. SUVs are big and powerful, and on top of one, you can feel almost invincible.
Easy now, big fella.
Keeping your SUV in off course.
Look at that control!
That's the idea, right?
You've been tinkering with your car for so long now. How fast is it really? G-Tech Pro Performance Meter will tell you. It measures your 0 to 60 and quarter-mile time, handling G's, and yes, horsepower and torque. It's easy to use, and all the sensors are built in, so there's no installation. Just plug it in and go. It measures your RPMs right through the cigarette lighter, so you get sequential shift lights, just like in Formula One. Yes, it works in any car, even diesels. It's accurate to 100th of a second, thanks to 10 years of research and our award-winning technology. Magazines have tested it. Now they test with it. Become a better driver and have some fun. Guaranteed or your money back. It's only $199.95, and it's the ultimate gift for a car guy. Get yours today. Call the 24-hour hotline right now. 1-800-GTECH-PRO. That's 1-800-GTECH-PRO. Or 1-800-483-2477.
Now racing second is Salvadori with the Aston Martin, and he too comes in for fuel and tyres to rejoin the race in third place. A stiff breeze blows, but the sun still shines as Moss gets his final signal. One lap only separates him from his 7th victory in Britain's oldest motor race, first run in 1905. The flag falls to end his race and to end our motor racing holiday. Our visitors drive off, happy to have seen such varied racing at so many different circuits. For England today is truly the home of motor racing. And one other thing they have learned in Britain, you drive on the left-hand side of the road.
For me, it was a great year because I had my Lotus Elite. In 1959, I drove my mother's Morris Oxford. In 1960, I drove my dad's Jag. In 1961, I had a Lotus Elite fitted with the Hobbs transmission, automatic transmission. And in 1961, I won 13 races out of 18 starts, so I had a pretty good year. And so I remember it seems an awful long time ago now, but I do remember a lot of it pretty well.